Yeah, I'm good. How are you? This is fancy. This is way
Johnny will line up soon.
I know.
Did you want to go in?
Yeah, I was quite close actually. So imagine me eating a kangaroo's testicles.
Yeah, that's
or
not
something.
happening. How did it come about?
I got a message from Instagram and I thought it was a scam.
Gary Neville sorted your
Yeah, not
contract.
Frank Lampard. So maybe we should have worked.
Well, look, I can sort that
10%.
for now.
There you go.
Because I always say money doesn't buy you happiness, it buys you freedom. Did you watch the show?
We watched all of the shows. we're big fans.
Brought to you by SkyBet.
Hi, I'm Kelly Cates and welcome to our show, Not Just Football, part of the Overlap Network, brought to you by SkyBet. I'm joined by Frank Lampard and Hayley McQueen, and football really is just a starting point to talk about all kinds of things. And today we're doing that in the company of Harry Clarke, former traitor, baby-faced assassin and major Chelsea fan.
Like Lampard was like my idol growing up as a kid. Because I also never used, my mum used to always use Lampard for me as an example as well. Because he's like really smart, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's like IQ, he's like got like 150 IQ. He's one of the smartest players.
You're
He
super
does show
smart,
that.
aren't
Well,
you?
kind of. I'd say I'm just like really luckily smart, if that makes sense.
No,
Like-
because talk about the test that you had to do when you went into
Yeah,
the
so I was obviously joining the army. I was to go in there. I just wanted to be a paratrooper, which was an infantry soldier. And then when you go into the army, you go through like assessment centres to basically be assessed. Obviously, it's in the name. But they do like this barb testing, which is like mental testing, basically. They put you in a situation where you're just problem solving. So it would be like questions like, oh, Bill is taller than Jim, who's taller? And then how quickly you answer the question. And then there's like different shapes, finish the sequence, things like that. And I scored like one of the highest scores you can get on that. And that was when my career advisor rang my mum. I was obviously 15 at the time, and they were like, are you sure you want him to just be an infantry soldier? She was like, obviously not. What can he do? While I'm like on the end of the phone trying to get it off her, she's holding me like back. Because obviously all I wanted to be at that point was just a normal soldier. Which you are anyway. But I could get a trade, which was a big thing for my parents. And then she was like, what's the hardest one? And then they said avionics technician, which was an 11% pass rate, which is a helicopter engineer basically. The electronics on a helicopter, which is still mad to say even now, that because I still don't know how I ended up doing it. And then she was obviously like, yeah, he'll do that, put the phone down, and I was fuming. But now I couldn't thank her enough, because if I ever got injured or if I ever had to join Civvy Street,
Or your
I
helicopter
could
breaks down.
Yeah, or a helicopter breaks down. Yeah, when I flew to this podcast, and I could fix it. But no, then I just had something for me in like, it was an MVQ, so it was an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I was kind of smart.
So your
kind of smart.
processing systems are...
I always say I'm
That's
wired
it.
like backwards.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. You know, like I see things differently for how, like, and also so simply. Especially when I was in the Traitors, high pressured situations, I would just see it so, well, then I just need to do this, or I just need to do that. Like, it's so simple. I don't overthink things, especially when I'm under pressure. But then if I was like doing a maths exam, or like especially English, I was terrible in English because I was dyslexic in school, I just would lose my head. I wouldn't know what to do. So it's weird.
So you
So lying
find
and
your
murdering
path.
people, I could do easy, but doing an English GCSE, I was lost for words.
You could have very nearly, a bit like your brother, gone into maybe playing football. Of course, you grew up a massive Chelsea fan, as we already know, and you've met a lot of your idols now.
Yeah.
But you got into the army because you could box, you could play football, you could do so many things that you loved as well, and it was a whole separate kind of new life for you.
Yeah, I think it's weird because no one else in my family had been in the military except for my granddad. And no one other than my granddad, like he didn't really talk about it. I didn't even know he was in the military till I was about 15, and he said, oh, you could do this, you know. So then growing up, it was every boy's dream, isn't it, to be a football player or a boxer, and that was my only two things. And unfortunately, I wasn't good enough in either, so I couldn't be a pro in it. But I did quite well. I mean, I'd played academy level football, I'd done England squad boxing sometimes, and then going into the army, my granddad had basically sat me down and said, look, what do you want to do? I was like, play football and box. And he was like, well, you can do both in the army. So then I was there at 15, like, you're telling me I could play football, box, and then run around a field and shoot guns, you know, like that is, and get paid for it at the same time. At 16, I was like, this is a win-win sort of thing. So then, I joined the army straight out of school and never looked back. I was sent to Harrogate, up North Yorkshire at 16, away from my family. But it never really affected me because I always knew my family were there and I'd come back. So then, and then now after that, two of my cousins have joined. my little brother's in the army now, so it's been like a family sort of thing.
So did you love it straight away? Did you feel like you'd found your place?
Yeah, 100%. I don't know why. It was just like, how can you, like, when I was 16, everyone was back in sixth form and in school. And then I was learning these sort of how to survive, basically. I was out on exercise. And they always say, like, the army's one of them careers where you have the most highest of highs and the lowest of lows. But, like, the highs easily outweigh the lows. So, like, say it's like a Wednesday morning and it's freezing cold and I'm, like, at Otterburn, which is just underneath Scotland. But, like, it's 3 a.m. and I'm walking over, like, hills with, like, my Bergen and my rucksack on. And then, like, you just get to points where you see the view and stuff. And it's like, no one else my age is seeing this or doing this. And then, obviously, from my job working on the helicopters, I was quite smart, actually. Maybe I am a bit smart because when I got to the end of my training, it was like, okay, where do you want to go? And I sort of found out where each aircraft was. And say the Apache, which our attack helicopter, that was in Poland, so it gets freezing cold over there. The Wildcat was in Estonia, for example. And then the UAV, which I chose to work on, was in Cyprus. So I was like, I'm going to go somewhere where I can get tan and work. So yeah, I chose that straight away. So I was deployed all the time. So it was just amazing from being 16, getting paid even at 16 compared to some of my mates. Because you know when you're 16, like a fiver can last a lifetime and you can sort of spread it over a couple of weeks. I was at 16 getting like a full-on wage, so it was I was living the pop star lifestyle.
Of course.
Felt like a footballer anyway.
Yeah, no, but absolutely. But what an experience and life skills, really, for someone at that age. When you look back now, and you're 23 now, and I always feel like I'm talking, you know, that you're
lived
still
a lifetime.
and you've lived this sort of incredible life. I think being deployed as well, because it is still the army, though, in spite
of course.
You're talking about those incredible sort of fun feelings and the experiences in a really positive way. We know it can be a very tough life as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're always up against that potentially being your next day, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, the whole way through the army, it was just, or me just in life in general, I think, like in every job, you have the bad sides of jobs, you know? You have them days where you don't want to wake up and not get out of bed and stuff, and that was the same in the army. It's just like it sort of got to a job. And then like I went through some hardship when I was like 21, and I was deployed at the time, so then I got sent back home to sort of recover and sort myself out. I went to like 100 kilos, like I was massive for my weight and my size. And then it was just one of them switches where I was just like in a hole, but it was like, no, like the only reason I'm here is because of myself. So the only way I'm going to get out is by myself. So then since then at 21 and then dealing with some stuff through friends and relationships and stuff, it was like, well, I need to start living life like every day is my last, because you don't realise how quickly it can be taken away. Like touch wood, obviously it never happens, but tomorrow you might not wake up. So even the fact that you've woke up and you can have a smile on your face should set out the rest of your day. So then from 21, I was like, yeah, I need to start loving life as it is. And then that was where it just sort of took off. I changed my whole mindset. Then I sort of wanted to get out of the army. And then luckily the Traitors came around.
How did it come about? Like,
I got a message on Instagram. So imagine, it was actually so
way
funny.
to get a job.
No, honestly, it was so funny.
There's a reason to join.
It was so funny because obviously my other half does social media and she's been amazing at like helping me with all of this. But they've obviously come across her TikToks of me just being an idiot and like her making me try avocados and mad stuff like that. So they came across
like the
mad
really
stuff like
bad
that. Like, really, this is like mad stuff. So then they came across that and pinged me a message on Instagram, and I thought it was a scam. I replied like, no thanks, like scammer. And then this person who's a caster from the show was like, no, Harry, this is like a real person. And I was like, that's what any scammer would say. Like, I'm not going to fall for that one. Do you know what I mean? I'm not that stupid. And then I left it for a couple of days. And I was actually on a supervisor course at the army. And it was one of them nights, you know, you're laying at looking at the ceiling. And I was like, I need to be doing something more. Because my whole life, I've always just wanted to keep doing more. You know, like I've tried everything. Bloody day trading, crypto, everything, just to try and help my family. Working in the butchers, yeah, since I was like, well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but since I was like 12 or 13, I'd been working.
Yeah, that's okay.
So then it came about, and then I just thought, why not? Because she left her email and her number. And so I was like, what scammer would do that anyway? So I called the number, and that was it. That was in July sort of time last year, and I was there in August. Yeah. So it was like, I was like the last sort of...
And had you watched the first series?
No.
So you genuinely didn't have a real sense. I mean, did you do any kind of research?
No, they told me loads to watch it. She advised me to watch it. And I was like, all right. And I put it on, and like not to be crude or anything, I put it on, and then first episode, everyone was crying. I thought, this ain't a bit of me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm more of a lay down David Attenborough type of guy, you know, like watching sharks and that, and like this is the mad stuff. That's what I watch, like laying down on my sofa watching that, or a Netflix movie. So I thought, I can't watch this. And then also, I thought to myself, I would only be doing myself an injustice by watching it, because I'm going to start going through my head, oh my gosh, if I actually get this place on the show, okay, how did so-and-so from series 1 overcome this? How did so-and-so do this? And I think that's what gave me like a better chance, because everyone in the show I was with had watched the first series so many times.
That's interesting.
So when a problem came up or they were under pressure, they had gone through it in their head so many times that when the situation didn't arise that way, they were lost, they were stuck in the mud. Whereas for me, I was just by myself, because I didn't have no predetermined way I was going to act. It was whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
But did you have a strategy? Like,
No, not
was
at all.
it just you dealt with each individual situation?
The funniest thing was, like, she explained the whole game to me, and I was like, yeah, this sounds kind of cool, like the Traitors, mad. Then right at the end, she said, you can win 120 grand. I was like, why did you not start with that? Because I would do, like, whatever you've just said doesn't matter, because a kid from a council estate, again, like, when would I ever come that close to being 1 in a 22 chance? And I like my horses. I'd take a pop on a 22 to 1 horse. Yeah. So I was like, when would I ever get that close to winning this sort of money? So that's all you had to say at the start, and I'd definitely audition. So then she used to start laughing, and then I auditioned, luckily got it. But yeah, it didn't really matter to me what the game was. It was just the fact I can win that sort of money.
Do you know what I think is really interesting when you watch it? And I loved it and kind of, watched obsessively. But I think across the series, and I've watched some of the international ones as well, but when you watch it, people get confused between real life and the game. And so they say things like, but you're a really nice person, you can't be a traitor. And it's like the picking of the traitors is so random. And you switched.
Yeah.
And so first of all, that thing about, can you only really do it if you separate real life from the game?
I just made it real life, if that makes sense. So like for the game was the game, but me every day was just Harry. So like I was obviously a traitor from the start, and I was stressing, by the way. If you like Chloe Winkleman, I was like such a powerful woman. I was like, oh no, because I wanted to be a traitor so bad, because I was like, this is my Jekyll and Hyde life. I always say in the army, I like to say the term Jekyll and Hyde because we did it in school, and it's the best way to explain it. Like, I was Corporal Clark Monday to Friday at work. Then as soon as it hit the weekend, I was just cheeky Harry who had no care in the world, still like an 18-year-old kid, feel like it now, So in the Traitors, I was like, I have to be so good all day and be loyal and faithful and all these other stuff, because that's what the organisation of the army is, like being all them things. So I want to challenge myself and basically have a reason to be able to be naughty and lie. Like, that's like a childhood dream come true. So then when...
but what everybody kept saying was, but you're so lovely, you can't possibly be a traitor, because you're everybody's mate in the whole kind of, setup. Yeah. And I think that's everybody's big mistake, isn't it? Confusing
because I was still
personality.
Nice, like I was still myself. Yeah. So this is where people go wrong, they go in there, and for me, I was an open book. So because I was a traitor, I didn't necessarily lie. If you watch it back, I probably only ever said, like when Claudia made us say, I'm 100% faithful. But other than that, I didn't really tell lies. I didn't have to lie about anything.
I think other people then, it's down to emotions as
well,
well,
emotions,
isn't it? It's
definitely.
like when you watch a lot of reality, so whether it's Big Brother, even back in the day, people go in, it's almost like they forget they're within this TV environment, and then emotions kick in. And that's kind of what happened again, wasn't it, with your series? Because we were watching you and Molly. She's a really nice girl. We know you're friends, but we could see that there had been a connection, to use your words, at the time between the two of you. You were just good mates. But you kind of couldn't believe then that the ultimate thing was, one, you had to lie to her.
She so nearly got you. And she so nearly got you. Yeah. But in that moment, suddenly you've got it in your hands pretty much. And then she wobbles and she wavers. And it's suddenly, because if she'd made that choice, it was all gone.
I wasn't really stressed at all.
Really?
I was like, everyone always says she so nearly got you. I was like, nah, they didn't really. Because for us, like, not to, like, it makes me sound so cocky, or like I was so fine by the end. But like, as a traitor, the people who are with you in the final are the people you can sort of, trust you the most. So for example,
you were going to say they're the people you can manipulate.
But it's like, basically, it's a compliment to be murdered so early on, because you're a threat to the traitors, right? So as the final had set up, the final was set up that way on purpose. So like I knew she didn't trust Jazz and Andrew as much as she trusted me. So obviously, I didn't expect Andrew to turn on me. I did not see that coming off from a mile off, because we had actually had a conversation, and I was like, look, everyone sort of knows it's you, so I've got to go with you, otherwise it looks so obvious. And then obviously he just switched right at the end. But I sort of knew, because I knew Molly didn't trust Jack. No one really trusted him as like the game went on, because that's how you need to be. You need to find these groups and find these friends and sort of trust each other. Basically, I say my best advice is just hopefully don't trust the wrong person, but you have to go in there willing to make friendships and trust people.
Well,
you need people to support you.
Like you and Paul were fantastic. Like that was just brilliant, right up until the end when he got caught out. They had to say goodbye. But you've continued to be really good friends with him, obviously doing podcasts and everything together now. So.
And it's mad, because our podcast now, which is at the minute is the Harry and Paul's Guide to Life. So we're actually trying to help people through life. I don't know why they trust anything we say. We always say, like in advance, we do apologise if your life goes to pot after listening to us. But yeah, no, like that was like a genuine friendship, because we had that sort of thing that if someone was going for him or I heard someone talking about him, then I could relay it back to him. But obviously as a traitor, you could never really trust anyone. But as a faithful, that's what you need to have, because if you're sat on a table with 22 people don't realise how long them round tables go on for.
Yeah.
It could start on someone completely different, and then that person can defend himself or choose not to, which some people did, and then it just makes you look even more dodgy. But if you defended yourself and then someone went, well, who do you think it is? And you came up with a good idea that it's this person, everyone's eyes just go like this and go, actually, yeah.
Oh,
and then they're the best kind of round tables, because as a traitor, it's like, well, no one has a clue. Yeah. There was like a point where it was 3 people where we all had to decide again. You're there like, oh, this is so stressful. In my head, I'm like,
not me.
No one's actually got a clue.
Me. Yeah.
Because every other person said everyone else. And obviously my name didn't get mentioned right until the end. So I sort of just...
You played it.
It was crazy.
Beautifully, that you did. There's no doubt. That's why you are the ultimate traitor. Isn't it? Like, it's brilliant. It was such, and the big celeb one's coming up soon. Obviously,
that'll be the next one.
Oh, honestly, I think that would probably be my most stressful show to do. I couldn't do it. I want to be a faithful, but then
I think you can only win it as a traitor.
That's the thing. So how far do you want to go
properly?
To win?
You've got a better chance, I think, of winning it as a traitor. Which is a bit of a motto for life, isn't it?
Isn't it?
You can only win stuff if you sneak.
Yeah. Oh,
a few of them.
So stressful.
I know the Faithfuls won it the first series.
Yeah, they did.
It's hard to...
But they shared it, but it's harder, I think.
I think it's easier, basically. The perfect thing is to start off as a faithful, so you haven't got the pressure of being a traitor and then getting asked to be one and switching right towards the end.
Yeah.
Which obviously I think our series was the first time a traitor had been a traitor from the start, gone all the way through, and managed to just keep it up the whole act for 4 weeks. Then that's what I mean. It weren't really an act. Like, even if you ask me now, I'm still the faithful. Yeah. Like, I was only ever a traitor when I put the cloak on. That's the only difference. And then I sort of saw it as a game. You know, like Monopoly. I was always the banker, and I'd always nick a couple 500s to put me ahead of everyone else. But like, it's still the game. The game. Someone's got to do that role to keep the game going. Otherwise, there would be no game.
Diane drinking from the poison chalice. That was for me one of those classic moments.
What a cliffhanger!
Oh my goodness me! Yeah.
And then there was. But do you remember in the week between the episodes, it was all kind of, did she really drink from it, or what? Had the clock ticked midnight? Had it gone past?
Right, that's right. That's it.
Yeah,
it took over everyone's lives. That's the whole point. It's such a massive show.
It was the weirdest thing was being sat on the other side and seeing everyone say all these things, and like, it's so funny because obviously they do the Uncloaked podcast after the show, and each episode it was Harry's gone too far. Harry's gone too far. He's going to get caught next episode. And I'd be sat there like, you don't understand what's going to happen. But yeah, it was funny.
That was it 6 months between filming and actually airing. Is that how long you had to keep that secret?
Yeah, so I'd got back to work in September sometime.
Yeah. That's like playing another game as well, isn't it? Again,
I went from being in the army and then going to a castle, winning all that money, and then going back to the army like nothing happened. Yeah. I was like, this is mad.
But the money aspect of it, as you said, was, that was your first question, if they'd said at the beginning you were in. So the money obviously meant a great deal, and a big part of that was from a family perspective.
Yeah, family, It wasn't for me at all. I always say this now and everyone thinks, oh, like you're mad or you're just saying that. But I always say, like, if I was under a bridge tomorrow, but I was under that bridge with my family, my other half and my friends and stuff, I'd be just as happy as I was today, because I'd sort of had that bit, like I said, in my life and then there was a switch where it was like, you just need to appreciate everything you have in life. Because no matter how bad it is, if I looked at my life, even before the money, it was, well, I've got a roof over my head, so I'm still winning. There's people in the world who don't have that. I've got 3 meals a day, so there's people in the world who don't have that. I've got clean water. You know, there's people in the world that don't have that. So sort of appreciating what I have got instead of what I want or what I haven't got was massive. So when I won the money, it was just more freedom, because I always say money doesn't buy you happiness, it buys you freedom. And my happiness comes from those around me. So for example, like my family hadn't been away since 2009 abroad. This year, I took them to Portugal, all my family, my brothers and my sister, my mum and dad. And like now I'm 23 and my little brother's 18. So like I can have a beer with my little brother. And the last time we went abroad, I was 8 on an aeroplane, you know. So like being able to do that. And then hopefully, I've moved back in with my family. And then plans would be to buy my family's house for my mum and dad. But then so that was all I spent with the money. I gave a bit to my mum and dad to pay off personal debts and left the rest in the bank. Then everything I live off or by myself is what I've made off the back of it, because then I feel more accomplished, if that makes sense.
It's interesting with all your siblings too, the dynamic within a house when there's lots of children, because actually talking about going into the army, or indeed traitors, or being part of a football team, it's like it all kind of links when there's a lot of people that you have to almost sort of fight against. And not that you were necessarily competitive, but you know, just basic kind of living amongst siblings like that. You have to kind of be the one in charge.
Competitive.
And
Don't worry,
you were then,
massive.
okay, you know, that's interesting where that comes from.
2 brothers, so the football is always who's the best football player out of the brothers.
Who is the best football player?
Yeah, who?
Me.
Yeah, who's the best boxer?
Me.
Yeah.
What would your brother say?
So annoying, because my older brother's a better football player and then my little brother's a better boxer. So I'm just in the middle. Well, I always say this, my mum says it all the time, like I'm the wonky pancake out of the 5. You know, you always get one wonky pancake that goes wrong. Not in that way, like I haven't gone wrong. But you know, like there's always one kid that just has to do all the madness. Like she's always worrying about me. It's always me she's ever worried about, because I just have like no fear and I always want to be doing something next. Whereas all my other brothers and sisters are quite content with their lives, you know. So I always just want more and more and more, but just to give my family everything.
So I think it's really interesting, that you hit this sort of level of celebrity and fame as well. And people will look and think, you won all the money, you now have access to all these kind of opportunities and you have this, you know, this huge recognition. That would seem like a lot of people's dream. But I mean, we've seen it in football. It's not easy to be young and to have all of that suddenly hit you out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's just thanks to the army, I think. And then the same with the traitors. Like you see how I can sort of take myself out of situations. It's called, what is it? Compartmentalising.
Yeah.
Someone told me I'm really good at that from seeing the show. And it's like I can take my emotions out of stuff, which is why I found it easy to not actually, like I could have relationships, but I know why I'm here, it's the game. And then in everyday life now, it's like, yeah, all these things are good, but it's not who I am, so it will never change me. Like I moved back in with my parents because I haven't been there since I was 16, and it's also cheaper. It costs a living crisis, it costs a fortune. Like everyone now says, because I won the Traitors, they sort of think I have all this money and I can buy a house and stuff. I would love to, but it's not the smart thing to do. And luckily, like I said, I have my dad involved and I have a lot of people involved. Like even Gary Neville helped me sort my contract out. Like these people, I've been so lucky and grateful to have them who've come into my life.
Gary Neville sorted your contract.
Not Frank Lampard, so maybe we should have work.
Well, look, I can sort that 10%.
There you go.
So Gary Neville's doing contracts now?
He does everything. He's in every fight.
He was amazing, yeah. Like it's so funny because I always say this. Hopefully, he's not listening. But when
we hope he is, because it is part of the same network.
Okay, I'll tell him this after. Maybe I'll send him a message after that. But when he used to be on my TV, me and my dad used to go, "Oh, get this idiot off," because all he cares about is Man United. So biased. Then I see him on BBC Breakfast, and I thought, "Oh my days, Gary Neville. What am I going to do?" And then we sort of got talking, and his daughters watched the show. They loved it. Then he was like, he didn't want me to see what happened to me, like younger football players happened to me. Because even though it's not the same sort of industry, it kind of is at the same time. He didn't want me to get lost, people take advantage of me. So him and his lawyer went back and forth with my agent now for 2 weeks and just sorted out my whole contract. And he's never asked for anything in return, apart from like a birthday message. Yeah. And I just thought, because I like giving back as well, but like, what do I give Gary?
Well, you're here as a guest on his Overlap Network show. There you go.
Like, how cool is that?
What about life right now for you? Because obviously this has changed your life.
Yeah, massively.
Doesn't seem to have changed you as a person though, but you must have different hopes and ambitions and dreams, and it's opened up some dreams which have come true, getting to go to Stamford Bridge and sit in a box and enjoy hospitality and meet your idols as well. It's opened up an awful lot for you, but kind of what is the plan as well?
Yeah, I mean, so like at first I thought it was always going to end. So I was like, nah, I'll be back to work next week. So after the Traitors had finished, I'd actually got myself a job in London to work on the trains. Because I thought, nah, this ain't going to really... I didn't really see much of, obviously, Series 1, so I thought, nah, it ain't going to change my life that much. I might be invited to things. Then, obviously, come February, I was invited to this red carpet. I'd done to the Brits and that, and I was like, okay, this is cool, but it's going to end next week, so make the most out of it. And in that way, I sort of made the most out of it by drinking loads. I was 104 kilos 2 months ago. I weighed in at 89 this morning. So I've like been on a massive health kick.
Sound like a boxer there.
Yeah, no, right. It's like, it was always uncharted waters, so I never really believed it. But now we're in sort of November. I don't even know the day. It's so good. It feels like a Friday every day. But now we're
it's a timeless podcast.
Yeah,
don't worry about it.
But now it's sort of not ended since the Traitors has come out. It's like, okay, now I actually can start thinking about what I wanted to do. So luckily, I mean, I filmed 3 TV shows now. So one comes out the 13th of November, which is Antiques Roadshow, which is with Paul. So it's me beats Paul, and that's going to be so funny. And then I've got 2 more big ones coming out next year. One sort of Easter time, which I filmed with some other celebs, which was amazing, and then one to the end of the year.
Are they secrets?
Reality, yeah, I think so.
But you can't tell us what they are.
I don't know. Normally, I just tell people, don't tell me what I'm not allowed to say, because otherwise I'll tell it. Because even though I'm good at lying, I'm a really bad secret keeper too. Honestly, I always just blurt it out. But yeah, so that's the reality side of shows, and I love doing shows like that. But I think I would love to get into presenting, because I've presented the One Show a couple of times now, and we was talking about this like off camera, like working with people. I like to, when I speak to people, they tell me, oh, you know, you was the one thing that got me and my kids on the sofa because you're so normal. I was like, well, yeah, why would I not be? Yeah. So then I like resonating with people on a screen. So I like doing like the One Show things where I worked with kids with special educational needs who are autistic and ADHD and struggled in school, but they love fishing. So then we got that to sort of join in on. I love doing the boxing, so we filmed with a gym. So yeah, I would love to get into presenting and sort of do a bit of documentaries on my own of like what it's like to be a 23-year-old kid in the world now.
Yeah,
so yeah, I would love to sort of do that.
But I think that's really interesting about you, because I think Gen Z get a really hard time.
Yeah.
And there's all this kind of, you know, well, they're just really ungrateful and they should just cut back on the avocado toast. And there's all this kind of, but you are the complete antithesis of this. And I don't think, you're clearly unusual in terms of the level of your success and your work ethic as well. But I don't think you're that unusual. I think the kind of, you know, the vision of Gen Z is so different from what maybe the media perception is.
Yeah, 100%. It's so easy for a human, or like especially Gen Z, to be negative. It's always so much easier to think negative. So I just want to sort of bring that positivity to, that you can do this, or you can do what you want, and sort of help people mind-wise. Because I feel like if you get your mind straight, then everything else will follow.
Yeah. I have to say, I think a massive shout out should be going to your parents and your family, you know, for as much as you're talking about the army and traitors and everything else, like none of that. Your parents sound a bit like what mine were, you know, where it's all about you in the house, making sure you're always happy and wanting to give you a push when they needed to, like any good parent though, but ultimately we're always here. Come home when you want to come home.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a really powerful backbone to have, I think, in life.
Whereas my mum and my dad, they were so, like, my dad, the work ethic came from, because I was on a building site for him as soon as I could be. Like, all I wanted to be was a bricklayer. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world, because I just thought my job was to provide for my family, have loads of kids and just be happy in life. And then obviously they wanted me to do a bit more, and then they pushed me a bit more, but they've never been over pushy. And then also, like, we've always had what we've needed, but never what we wanted, which is why what I want to give to my family is that, what they can want. But then growing up, I mean, my mum had 5 kids, and she was always like, she don't want people to, they always assume that the 5 kids are going to be scruffy, you know, they're not going to look good for school, they're always going to be not in school, they're going to be late, things like that. So my mum would always brought us up to look clean, look the part and stuff, and act with manners, because everyone expects you not to be. Yeah. So proving them wrong was a big thing of hers. So yeah, a massive shout out to my mum and dad.
Right.
Yeah. And you've given back as well, taking your dad to the football. When you were young, he worked so hard to give you those opportunities. Yeah. I know there was a special day on your 10th birthday where you got to go, and then all these years later, kind of repaying the favour and taking him to his beloved Stamford Bridge.
I know, that was absolutely mad. So like I said, Chelsea comes from in our blood. So my granddad used to play for Tottenham, and his cousin was Peter Osgood. So Peter Osgood and Chelsea was a lot closer to mine than it was Tottenham. So like back in the day, my granddad used to tell me like he used to have to get up at 4 a.m. just to get to North London to train for Tottenham and stuff. But Peter Osgood, Chelsea, it was just one train, Fulham Broadway, and then they can get off and go watch the Chelsea. So Chelsea was always big in the family. And then growing up with my dad, he could never take all 3 of us boys like together because it was just too much money. So then he would always either wait till someone had a season ticket. Probably shouldn't say that either. They'd probably ban me from Chelsea because I was under someone else's name. But you know how it is, like growing up. Long time ago. I pay for him now. And then so he'd always wait. And then for my 10th birthday, he took me. And I remember I'd never forget the day because my present. I felt like a mini celebrity there because it was mad. So we went to Stamford Bridge. I can't remember who we was playing, but Frank Lampard would have been playing. And then.
I love when people say Frank Lampard.
I know, you get the full name.
Yeah, because I don't know if we're mates or anything, so I'm like, I have to call him Frank Lampard.
No, I love that. I think it makes it...
Mr. Lampard.
Definitely not that. No, it's just so good, because I'm just visualising you as a little boy, Frank Lampard. I think it's really cute.
It's cute. And then we got there, and at half time, he took me, like, from where we were sitting, he took me down, and he was like, I'll look up at the screen. And at the screen it said, happy 10th birthday, Harry, like in Stamford Bridge. And that was like my dream come true. It must have cost him a fortune as well. But then like coming up, everyone was saying happy birthday to me, happy birthday to me.
What a moment.
And then like a couple of weeks after Chelsea, we got asked to go there. And I just thought it was going to be like just normal seats. You know, I was so appreciative of, I've been invited by Chelsea, free tickets, what a result. Like go up there with my dad and my little brother and stuff. So we went to the Rose and Bell beforehand, which was a restaurant. And then we're sort of sat, you know, like this, like, oh my gosh, like, what is going on? Then we got a beer, please. And then like, you can see my dad's head like sort of ticking, like, oh, how much is going to cost? So then we asked and they were like, oh no, you don't pay for it. And we were like, 6 more, please. Well, my dad was. I was like, I got to do an interview. Because then they said to me I was getting interviewed on the pitch. So like for my dad, imagine we've walked from that restaurant, pitch side. Don't tell him either. I've got like so much Stamford Bridge grass in my pocket. Like, I'm going to get framed. Honestly, I love it that much. Honestly, and then they took me pitch side, gave me a shirt as well, and they cost a fortune, a Chelsea top. So if they want to give me another one, please give me another one. Because this year, But they gave me a Chelsea, like all the gear. And I stood there and did an interview, pitch side, where I was on the screens. And I was looking at my dad and thought, imagine when I was 10, he was here, costing money to put my birthday message up there. And then now he's just watching me on, say, the halfway line, doing an interview about the Traitors on the screen.
Don't lose that.
No,
don't
lose
that sense.
It just gives me goosebumps listening to those sort of memories. As like a 10-year-old boy and the good old days of Chelsea, as far as the golden
2011.
Yes, exactly. What do you think of it today? How are you? Who's your favourite player at the minute?
Well, I would say Cole Palmer.
I knew you were going to say Cole Palmer.
Yeah, everyone would say Cole Palmer, but I really like Mudryk. I reckon if we give him a bit of time, Mudryk's gonna do really well.
Do you like what they're doing this season so far?
Yeah. Enzo, he's come in. I can never pronounce his surname. Maresca.
Yeah.
I leave that to these two as well.
Yeah, literally, it's Enzo. But he's come in. He's done a good job from how we were anyway. But I feel like because now I luckily again got to meet him. I met Reece James. And obviously I love that guy. He won a Champions League. That was one of the best moments of my life, seeing him when we won in 2019 against Man City. So, and then he was like, we can get a photo. Like, he watched the Traitors. I was like, what do you mean you watched the Traitors? It was just mad. It was one of the times that my smiles are up here anyway, but on that day it was like literally mad. And then I was speaking to him and then, he watched it. So I forgot where I was going now. I just got too excited.
You've got some nice tattoos there we want to have a look at, haven't you, actually?
I got a Traitors tattoo,
new
actually.
Art.
Yeah.
That is dedication. It's actually it's kind of a nice symbol though, isn't it? It's quite, if you don't know, you don't know, and if you do, you do. Yeah. It's kind of, but it's very personal, obviously. Like all of your tattoos are.
All my tattoos, mean something. Yeah. And then that's one that I really like, which my mum's quote. She always used to say it to us growing up. So it says, "Be who God meant you to be, and then you'll set the world on fire." Mm-hmm. To me, that means never change. Just always be true to yourself and be who you are meant to be. Yeah. So it's cool.
That's lovely advice.
I
You're saying a
I
lovely boy, aren't you?
Thank you.
Anyway, I'm just phoning you because we are with Harry, and I just wanted you to say a quick hello because he did love John Terry, but now I've managed to switch him to you. So
I never said that. I'd only met John Terry.
He's met John Terry. Met John Terry. But I'm putting you in loudspeaker, okay? Mind your swearing. There you go. Say hello to Harry.
Hi, Harry.
Hi, mate. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you.
Did you watch the show?
We watched all of the show. we're big fans.
That is mad. I'm so cool, by the way. I'm trying to play it cool right now.
No, you were very cool on the show. I was very impressed with your tactics.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
And then I realised when I heard that you were a big Chelsea fan, so I was even more impressed then.
Massive. Oh, well, we've just been saying how I was trying to play it cool from this whole podcast, but you've been my idol growing up, so thank you for everything you've done for Chelsea.
Did I teach you all your dirty tricks then?
Yeah, basically, yeah. I learned everything from you.
Tell him your mum said he was your role model.
My mum made me actually follow in your footsteps, kind of, because when you did the football, you still did like your school stuff and things like that, because you're actually really smart, aren't you? Which I didn't.
I don't know, you'd have to ask Christy.
Yeah.
Can I put this line down? I'm not that smart.
I thought that was usually your cue point of when you tell everybody you got an A star in Latin.
In Latin. You got to say something in Latin now, surely.
You know what, Christine doesn't like this conversation because it turns out I've got a higher IQ than she.
Oh, or so he says.
We'll discuss this later. That's a whole other chat. But Frank, we'll have to get Harry to Chelsea with us.
We'll have to get one with Traitors.
Chelsea, be my guest anytime, mate. Honestly.
There you go. You be his guest at Chelsea anytime, right? We'll figure it out.
I have two favourite players. It can be me and John.
Yeah. Oh my days.
We'll leave that with us. All right, darling.
Thanks, Harry. Lovely speaking to you, mate.
You too.
The girls are here as well, by the way. It's not just me and Harry. It's
Bye. She just thrown me on air.
sorry. Anyway, all right. Be in touch.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Oh my days.
There you go, Harry.
That is mad.
He couldn't be here in person, but
You're not lying to me, but that's the real thing.
that is the real Frank Lampard.
That was just like someone's in the back there, like producer on the phone.
Pretend you're Frank. You're just going to
Send a friend.
Stop back.
say your name in my
You'll have to go in your full kit when you're a guest.
Yeah,
Full
imagine.
kit, shin
My Lampard
pads.
top. I used to that's what I mean. I used to have Lampard shirts. So I remember my lime green kit. I used to wear. I was like, I must have been like 6 or 7.
Oh my
Because my favourite number's 8.
Yes.
Of Frank Lampard.
There you go.
Used to
Well,
play
that's
Chelsea
like
8.
it. Absolutely.
I was
Everything's
born
8
in
in
the
our
8th
house.
as well.
Oh, there you go.
Meant
It's
to be.
infinite number as well.
That's
Yeah,
exactly
is
it. That's what I
That
bought
is
him for
mad.
his 40th birthday, a little statue thing with 8 on it. With that.
Really?
Yeah, there's lots of 8s in our house. We'll sort it, Harry.
That'd be the best day of my life.
Leave it to
Honestly.
me, Harry. Thank you so much.
Good luck with everything.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Yeah.
I
Good
know.
to see you. Thank you.
Subscribe to The Overlap and catch every episode and more of Not Just Football.